Hello everyone and welcome to Three of Us channel. So today we are going to interview some English teachers working in Iran. Hello Narges and welcome.
Hi, it's nice to be here.
Hello everyone and hi Amin.
Hello and howdy folks.
First of all, happy to have you here with us today.
Thank you very much.
Amin is also an English teacher in Iran. Tell us about your educational background.
Well, I have a BA in TEFL and I've been teaching for about 3 years now.
What should you do in order to become an English teacher in Iran?
Basically, you can go through formal education, like getting a bachelor degree and master degree in TEFL, Teaching English as Foreign Language, or you can take some teacher training courses like CELTA and Delta, gain experience, enter the teaching profession.
You have a master's degree in TEFL, right?
Yeah.
Actually, it depends. I think as Narges said, there is a formal way of entering into the business of teaching, but it only depends on if you can do the job. You know, nobody really asks you if you have a degree in teaching or not. If you can speak well, I think mostly ask for you to come and teach in their institute. But there is a due process, and it's logical to have a degree in whatever you're doing. But I think if you have the skills, that's definitely enough.
Another question that a lot of English learners ask is, how do we find a good teacher?
There are many platforms like LinkedIn, social media platforms like Instagram, and also some website like Purpley or italki, I'm not quite sure, that you can actually search, see the experience of a teacher, how much he or she has worked, what certification he or she has.
Are Iranian teachers on these platforms?
Yeah, I mean, there are many Iranian teachers on Instagram and LinkedIn.
But some of them are banned in Iran, like italki and Purpley, I think.
Unfortunately.
Yes. We actually mentioned that in our previous video, the first part of this interview. Go check it out if you haven't watched it already.
Unfortunately, as you might know, Iran is banned from many things, and it's affecting the teachers as well. It's quite hard for Iranian teachers to set up classes, online classes with foreign students. But there is a way. It doesn't matter how hard it is, there's always a way for everything. Iranian teachers can be reached through LinkedIn and other forms of social media. If foreign students want to, experience Iranian teachers, they can find them through different forms of social media.
Find our profiles and we would set up classes, online classes in Zoom, Meet. Do you have one profile so that people could reach you?
Well, I've got a profile on LinkedIn.
You have another job besides teaching English?
Not really. I've dedicated all my time and energy to this one profession I have. I really can't do both jobs at the same time, and I'd rather just focus on one profession. It yields better results both for me and my students.
Is the payment good?
Oh, I can't complain.
But I don't have a second job at the moment, but I can tell you that maybe 95% of all teachers do have or are looking for a second job. It doesn't matter if they teach at school or private classes or whatever, it doesn't matter. Nowhere around the world teachers are well paid, so they are looking for something else. I don't have a second job at the moment, but who knows what will happen. I'm looking for one.
What do you think is the biggest challenge of your profession?
Many people do not have any concept of teaching. They try to interfere in your teaching method. It kind of demotivates me sometimes that people do not trust me and try to tell me how to manage my own class or what method to implement. Many people come to you and say they'd like to get IELTS band score 8 in 3 months.
Yeah.
They'd like to speak faster.
They set unrealistic goals for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And they expect you as a teacher to be a facilitator of that goal and make that goal come a reality, which is totally impossible.
Well, teaching is a people's job, and people tend to come in all sorts of colors and shapes and personalities, and you have to deal with these strange creatures. I mean, as we are all, but it's hard to cope with all these different types of wanting. Everybody, it doesn't matter how old they are, they have their own problems. They all gather around into one classroom, and there is a teacher who has to, make it work. So it's definitely a hard job because it's a people's job. The less you know, the more comments you have. That's why many people tend to have a lot of comments about whatever job there is. So some people might think that, why don't you do this one, or why are we doing it this way? That is just their comments. It's not in any way true or professionally, correct. They have their comments and it's quite aggravating. So we have to deal with these sort of things. That's life. I don't complain. That was a little complaint, but yeah.
The biggest challenge is that in our group classes, we're expected to only speak English.
And that's nonsense, actually.
Our clients, our students today expect us, and this gets sometimes really funny. Like one of my colleagues was telling me that in a kid's class, she was providing slides of pictures of new words. It was about nature. She had to teach words like lake, river, forest, and mountain. Some students were insisting to tell them the Farsi word and speak Farsi, while in our institute, it's completely banned to speak Farsi in class. Because of this pressure of the institute, she said that, okay, so there is this picture and it's a mountain, and it was a clear mountain. But the student was telling her that, no, teacher, tell me, what's that in Farsi? And she said that, okay, you're seeing the mountain. She forced her, and she said, okay, it's cool. And she said, oh, okay, cool, let me write it. And she was like, oh my God, you have the picture in your book.
I think the student was trying to test the teacher's patience. But
how much is a teacher's accent important for Iranian learners when they're choosing a teacher?
To a great extent. Most people would choose a teacher just merely because of having a good, like, British accent or American accent, regardless of how he or she is capable of managing a class or teaching, because you might be in a good command of a language, but you might not be a good facilitator or a teacher. To be a facilitator or a teacher requires more than having a good accent. It requires knowing how to manage a class, design, for example, a course.
So basically, a good accent is not a valid indicator to evaluate a teacher's job based on, right? You can't judge a teacher's expertise based on accent alone.
In my idea, a teacher is someone who can just make something easier for you.
in every language, there is an idiom or an expression that they say, don't judge a book by its cover. But actually, everybody judges everything by its color. The appearance of a teacher is how he looks, by his language abilities. So of course, if you sound more natural, assume that you are a good teacher, perhaps. I think that any native speaker can be a good teacher too, based on that belief. It plays a very big role in our society. It depends on how you speak. Students and their parents would look at you differently and treat you differently.
Thank you so much for participating in this episode.
Well, Amin, thank you so much for participating in our interview today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for watching. If you liked this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, and we'll catch you in our next video. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.